What's going on, everybody? It's Dan, Moonshine, the Hillbilly Hellraiser. How you doing? Welcome back to Moonshine Talking. Hope everyone's having a good one. It's Friday night currently, the 27th of March. Uh, just got done a little while ago working out, doing some other stuff, and just kind of hanging and banging around my place and just just chilling out. It's my weekend, so I figured I'd just kind of relax a little bit, probably watch some movies in a little bit. And just all the other mundane stuff that people normally do. Uh, I bring up the specific date just because, well, two reasons. One, last night, the 26th, I went to the Brass Mug and I saw a bunch of bands. I saw Void was in town, Lafayette, Louisiana thrash band, getting a lot of buzz, especially with their new album, Forbidden Morals. Phantom, which is a Mexican thrash band, they were with them. And they also had support from Heracleon, which is another Louisiana band, more death thrash, and a local band called Midnight Vice, who were very cool, very, very old school, ripping, speedy heavy metal, like very old school Raven-esque, Lizzie Borden type stuff. Very cool. Their singer Tyler can sing his balls off. Very good stuff. I had never heard them before. I'd seen their name on flyers a couple of times here and there, but never actually saw them. And man, they were good. They really impressed me. Of all the bands, I would say I probably enjoyed them the most. They did a fantastic job. And nothing against anybody else, but Phantom I wasn't aware of. I didn't really know too much about them. My buddy Trevor Shredbeard, he said that he really enjoyed them and said they were good and that I'd enjoy them. Uh, Void, I like. They did a fine job. I was kind of bummed because there's only like 50 people there, so and they were such a high energy, really good performance, good presentation, but there just wasn't a lot of people there. And but that's the nature of independent artistry because you could be doing like they did, them and Phantom. They played Hell's Heroes, and I'm sure they had stacked crowds to perform in front of. And then the next thing you know, you're kicking off your tour and there's 50 people in the crowd. So it is what it is. But the people there were enthusiastic. Bunch of young kids, saw lots of white tops and mullets and bullet belts and stuff like that. I was asking one of the older guys there, do you think that Stranger Things has anything to do with this? Because you see a lot of these kids, they're just adopting that old school 80s style with the denim vests and the mullets and the sleazy porn mustaches, and you just kind of wonder where did everybody just start picking this up? I wonder that sometimes, but I'm so out of the loop with everything that it's probably been a thing for probably like 2 years now, for all I know. But anyhow, it was really good, a really good show. Fun story. I hit up Midnight Vice's merch table and picked up a couple of things, and they were selling what they refer to as Coke mirrors for people who really like to party. And I just looked at them. I said, "Yeah, C4 is about as strong as I go these days." So I was like, "No, I'm not going to do that." And they just kind of laughed. But very cool. Definitely go check them out. Go check all those bands out if you're not familiar with them. I recommend all of them. I'll probably go dig into Phantom stuff. I tried a little bit today, but I couldn't find it on my Pandora. But I was also on an elliptical, so I wasn't looking very hard. Um, but yeah, that was cool. And there was a crap ton of releases that came out today. I mean, today was a very good, very, very generous release date. You got what I'm about to review today. You got Hell Ripper just came out with their new album. I just picked up Melting Rot's new album. I'll be getting that soon enough. There's a band Skeletal Spectre. They just put something out. There's another band, Iron Slug, a more sludge doomy band. They put something out that sounded really good that I'm going to try and get a physical copy of, but I didn't see it available on their Bandcamp page. Just a ton of stuff. Cruel Force, I picked that up also. Got that from Hell's Headbangers with Melting Rot. Um, a couple others. There's the band Spear Siege. I ordered their brand new album. It's like a Texas war metal band. It sounded pretty good. And yeah, just a couple other things. I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting a couple, but there was a ton of new releases that came out on today, Friday the 27th. Just Great list of stuff. Yeah, there's a couple others. There's one band, Mirror Deception. I was looking to check out. They're like an old school trad doom band. There's one or two others that I can't think of off the top of my head, but I'm sure I'll remember them at some point. But that's not going to matter because once I stop recording, it's really going to be a moot point. But if I think of it during this, I'll mention it. But at the top of the list for now, it's going to be the brand new album from Black Label Society, Engines of Demolition. You check that out there. Here, I'm going to open this up real quick and talk about the album itself pretty briefly. Not the album, but like the specs and crap like that. I think this was I think the cover itself might have been AI because it said art design done by the person who did it. And generally speaking, unless I'm corrected, I don't really see a situation where when you say design versus cover art, it makes me think that you probably just computer generated it. So that's why I say that. But yeah, you can see very cool layout on the back. This was put out by MNRK Heavy, which are Black Label's current. That's the current label. I know I don't have to explain this to anybody, but I will nonetheless just explain it for the sake of it. Black Label Society is Zakk Wylde's band. Zakk, famously Ozzy Osbourne's longtime guitar player. He replaced, who did he replace? He started on The Ultimate Sin. No, scratch that. He started on No Rest for the Wicked. And that was, who did he replace? Jakey Lee? I think he replaced Jakey Lee. And just a fantastic guitar player. There's been a revolving door of Black Label members of the Doom crew, as it were. They've been around since '98. Uh, Currently, it's John DeServio, who was on a couple of the first albums playing bass. They got Dario Lorino on guitar doing rhythm guitar and Jeff Fab on drums. But they've had a ton of who's who of musicians playing this band. Robert Trujillo from Suicidal Tendencies and Ozzy's band, or Metallica. He's been on this. I say scratch that too. I'm just stammering and stuttering like a dumb jackass. But anyhow, Mike Inez, that's where my brain got confused. Alice in Chains and Ozzy. He's been in the band. Craig Nunemacher from Crowbar has been in the band, and just a whole host of tremendous musicians. A lot of people who kind of orbit that Ozzy, the Osbourne universe. But yeah, this is their 12th studio album. It's kind of go back a little bit to Zakk's and his guitar playing and stuff like that. I was talking to Paul Kreutz, and I had asked him, he was doing a live stream and asked him what he thought of Zakk, and he didn't really have too much to say. He said something to the effect of, "Do you think anybody would know him if he wasn't in Ozzy's band?" And I kind of look at that like I kind of like marinated on that one and thought about it for a while, and I thought to myself, well, maybe, maybe not. It's kind of hard to say. You can't really, until we figure out how to navigate multiverses. I don't think we're going to be able to answer that question, but I would have to say that, yeah, he obviously became more famous being in Ozzy's band. But overall, Zakk is a fantastic guitar player. He's kind of in that like guitar god lineage where it starts with, I would say, Jimi Hendrix, and then you go into Eddie Van Halen and Michael Schenker, and then you move a little bit forward, you move the ball forward, and not to dismiss anybody else, but kind of like the biggies, and then you get into like Dimebag and Zakk himself. Probably throw Randy Rhoads in there, and I would even say, guys like George Lynch and who else could I put in there as far as like guitar god type of stuff? Trey Azagdoth. And then just moving into some of the current players. I mean, a lot of these guys kind of like laid the groundwork for lots of shredding, ripping guitar players, and I think a lot of them that's kind of like the bouncing ball of that kind of like shredding style. And he's definitely he's got a very unique, very distinct style. When you hear it, you know it. He's a shredding guitar player, especially with the leads. They're very blues formatted, blues based, but very, just very much in that style of like just soaring highs and bends and running up and down the fretboard and stuff like that. Not like an Yngwie Malmsteen, but more, more soulful, more like a Hendrix or Dimebag, which is probably why he wound up in the latest version of Pantera. But anyhow, 10 and a half minutes into this, and I really haven't said anything about the album. But this all kind of ties in. And if I remember at the end of this, I'll tell you a fun story about Zakk towards the end here. But going into the album, it's 13 songs, about 51 minutes of music. Uh, Fantastic stuff. If you're not familiar with Black Label is just a very straight up meat and potatoes rock and roll heavy metal band. And in this one, I use the term meat and potatoes because hold on to your potatoes because there's a lot of meat on this one. I mean, everything for the tone and the riffs and the drum beats and everything. It's all just so chunky and thick. And, you get like songs like Name in Blood. That was I want to say the second single that came out. And it's got such a great tone and a riff. And it just like kind of bores into your brain hearing that riff. And it kicks into, once the drums and the bass kick in after the riff and Zakk starts singing, it's just got a nice flow to it and really sticks with you. The second track, Gatherer of Souls, that one's it's got like a slight After Forever kind of vibe to it, where you kind of get a little bit where John DeServio kind of gets off a little bit. The Hand of Tomorrow's Grave's really good, very tight and in the pocket, no frills kind of rock song. It tends to complement Zakk's bluesier instincts, both vocally and with his guitar playing. I would say kind of going back to Gather Souls, that one's kind of got a little bit of a commercial vibe to it. There's a couple songs on here that they definitely they're a little bit more on the commercial, very mainstream, accessible side. Not that anything that Black Label does isn't commercially viable. I mean, it's a whole brand, the whole Doom Crew thing where it's all like almost like a larger kind of like NYDM thing, like the Mortician with the Will Romer and all that stuff with the whatever they do. But yeah, very good stuff. Better Days and Wiser Times. That's one of those ballads. It just kind of like I wrote notes here and I put on here meh. It wasn't for me. It was nothing that I was interested in. But then it goes into Broken and Blind, and that's got a kick-ass war drum beat that it starts out with, and it's got a very groovy guitar riff, a very COC style, kind of like that sludgy southern rock kind of vibe to it. Uh, Listening to throughout this entire thing, Zakk is an underrated vocalist. I mean, he's got a very bluesy wail to his voice, like a warble that isn't. It's not quite Ozzy, but it's not like some virtuosic vocalist like the dude Tyler that I saw at Midnight Vice. He had a fantastic voice with the falsettos and stuff like that. Zakk doesn't do that, but he's got that gruff kind of grimy sound to his voice. He's got that, he's got like a man's voice, and but he can still he can hit notes, and he can hit vibratos and stuff like that. It's just not like technically proficient, I guess would be the best way to describe it. But the Gallows, that kind of has like a little Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath vibe to it. I kind of feel like, and I'm kind of skipping ahead a little bit, kind of going track by track, not kind of, but going track by track on this thing. Uh, you could tell that Ozzy's death probably had a major impact and influence on this album. I'm sure that was really in the back of Zakk's mind at all times when he was writing a lot of these songs, losing his friend and his mentor, I dare say his idol, probably almost like a father figure type in his life, just, been around the guy for decades. and such a huge impact on the music industry in general, but especially with people into heavy metal. You know, Ozzy was just an icon, and there's no other way to put that. And being close to him like he was, and then in passing, I'm sure, especially as soon after as they did the whole the thing in Birmingham, I'm sure that probably weighed on him heavily as far as thinking about a lot of that. And that's where I think kind of it reflects in the songwriting because you can hear lots of Sabbathy type of little hints and like what do they call them, Easter eggs, you know, stuff like that within the songs. And the Gallows is kind of like, you know, that's no different than Gatherer of Souls. But yeah, it's got a very cool galloping riff in there, and it's probably the best representation of Jeff Fab's drum work. I mean, the for Broken and Blind and the Gallows are probably the best examples of his playing, like just that real thick rock pig on pizza, very heavy pounding on the drum kit kind of deal. That's kind of the best way I could describe that. Above and Below is the next song on this album. To me, it's my favorite song. I'm not going to say too much else other than go check it out. It's a fantastic song. Back to Me, that was another ballad, which I refer to as meh 2.0. But Lord Humongous, that was the first single that I saw before this album came out. It came out a while ago, and it's good. It's a very it's tight, very no frills rocker, and very accessible. So it's definitely it's something that you would almost kind of predict would be on a Black Label album. It's the type of thing that you would expect them to play. It's not like you can't consider Black Label an underground band because Zakk's in it, but it's good. It's just it's a very serviceable song, and usually when I serviceable is kind of like borderline like an insult, but at the same time it's a good song. It's just not my favorite on the album. Pedal to the Floor. Now I will be kind of like insulting. That one was kind of forgettable. I actually kind of, the few times that I heard it, I just kind of drifted off each time that I was listening to it. It was like, okay, what's going on here? Oh, the Tweety Birds. And, but anyhow, Broken Pieces was a nice little toe tapper. The Stranger, that was a good song, but I think the best part about it was lyrically the idea of Zakk traveling on his motorcycle through space and time, like some sort of motorcycle Viking Flash Gordon type of figure. I thought that was a really interesting concept. It was just kind of, you know, picturing that in my mind's eye kind of made me laugh a little bit. I just thought that was kind of a cool idea. And then it closes with Ozzy's song. This is a song that he wrote in tribute to Ozzy. It's nice. It's a very beautiful song. It's definitely the what I would say about it is again, you know, Ozzy was probably such a huge, obviously he was a huge impact, had a huge impact, and he was a huge influence on Zakk in his life and his career that obviously he was going to write a song for him after he died. And I think the most the thing that stands out the most on the song is when he starts doing his solos in the song. You can kind of tell with like the way they like Zakk's one of those guitar players where he can really communicate through his music, where you can hear when he gets hitting some of those wails on the guitar, they sound like he's crying or like kind of like releasing that pain of losing one of his best friends. You know, it's stuff like that that really kind of it makes you feel a little bit. Not like I was sitting here crying or anything like that, but you can feel the emotion with it when the song is playing. And I love the lines, enjoy the ride before it's gone, enjoy the ride, it doesn't last for long. I mean that if the truer words have never been spoken, you know, it's definitely, but it's a cool song. Very cool album. I've listened to it multiple times. It's very catchy. It's heavy in the way that you would expect from Black Label. Black Label Society are a very solid band. They deliver more times than they don't. I've enjoyed them since almost the beginning, I would say. I have 1919 Eternal sitting out there somewhere. It's in my Lucy pack, if you know what that is. If you've heard me talk about that before, the ones where I lost all the like the CD inserts, and so now they're just sitting in one of those CD folder gimmicks that you flip through that I used to use to save time, but now I looking back on, it, I just kind of like kick myself in the ass because it kind of ruined my collection a little bit. But be that as it may, but yeah, I've loved Zakk's work for since I was a kid. I mean, probably since like sixth, seventh grade when No Rest for the Wicked came out is probably that's probably when I first started to notice him, and then listening to him all through the stuff that he did with Ozzy, and then listening to Pride and Glory, his solo album, the more like blues rock kind of thing that he did. That's an excellent album, and then leading into all the Black Label stuff, just very good, very to use the word again, iconic figure in heavy metal. The very standout guitar player. Definitely very, I think, very influential and impactful as far as music goes. And then just kind of I say kind of a lot, one of my vocal crutches, but nonetheless, bear with me. So I have a fun little story. Me and one of my old coworkers, Rodney, we went to go see Black Label open for Judas Priest on their farewell tour. And so we went to go see them, had a great time. So fast forward like a year, maybe 2 years. I think probably like this was like 7, 8, maybe 9 years, but close to a decade ago. Uh, we go to Orlando to the House of Blues to see Clutch and Zakk Sabbath, which was Zakk's Black Sabbath tribute album, his Black Sabbath tribute band. And I think they did what was it? Doom Bloody Doom or something like that. It was something to that effect. But I didn't really hear that, but that's what he just it's Zakk doing Black Sabbath songs is the long and short of that. And it was pretty cool. So at one point, Zakk Wylde, he hops off the stage, he starts playing in the crowd because he's got his whole wireless setup going. And my buddy, my old friend Rodney he's a huge Black Label Zakk Wylde fan. He's a fanboy if ever there was one. So Zakk is walking through the crowd and people are going nuts. They're all freaking out. And he gets right next to us and he's standing right in front of Rodney the entire time. And he's wailing away on his guitar, doing his solos and very, very cool stuff. And of course, because I don't really I'm not gonna I'm not gonna just be an insane person when I'm at shows. Because like there was a bunch of people, they started crowding around him, of course. And people are moving people out of the way or they're getting in people's way and stuff like that. So there's all these people in front of me, but Rodney's standing there right next to Zakk the whole time that he's playing. And I was he was looking around because he's like shitting bricks and just, he can't believe this is happening. This is like a great moment for him. And I was just kind of sitting back and I was watching as somebody was filming it. I was watching off of their phone what he was doing because I couldn't really see him directly at that point because there's so many people surrounding him. And he said to me later, I was like, yeah, I was looking for you and then you were gone and all I see is you kind of in the background nodding your head. I was like, I was honestly it made me happier to see that he got to experience that moment rather than me trying to fight and push my way and elbow my way through to have one of my own. I was like, okay, I'll just watch it on this person's cell phone and treat it like it's a screen, the big screen at the stadium. So it was it was a very cool moment. I was very happy that he got to experience that because it was something that, that's one of those things where you take that with you for a long time, as long as you can remember things. So anyhow, so that's my review. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Definitely go pick this up. Engines of Demolition. It's out now on MNRK Heavy. Fantastic label. Great album. Black Label Society. More often than not, like I said earlier, they deliver. And this one is no exception. So go pick it up. I think you'll enjoy it. So that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. This is Dan. This has been Moonshine Talking. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you're new here, go check out the rest of the channel. And if you feel so inclined, you like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff that everybody tells you to try and get their channels to grow and get more eyes on it and stuff like that. If you want to see more of this mindless pablum, then by all means, do all those things. Comment if you want. Certainly, I try to keep engaged with everybody whenever anyone bothers to leave a note. you take the time to comment, I'm going to take the time to respond. So I figured that's the least I can do. But yeah, man, beyond that, like I said, I'm going to be doing a couple more reviews. I am in the process of working on my Goat Whore album ranking. I know I said I'd have it done like last week, but I need to take a little bit more time. I had some personal stuff come up, so I really haven't had time to like bear down and focus on it the way that I wanted to. But it's getting there and it'll be out sooner than later. So I just want to put a little polish on it and then get my ducks in a row. And then bada bing, bada boom, I'll record it and it'll be out there and people can either roast or praise me, however you see fit to do. But yeah, man, that's it. That's what I got for you. So as always, stay sick, stay heavy, stay brutal. Always tuck your chin upon impact. Don't forget to breathe. Everyone, have a good one. Keep headbanging and iron slang and take it easy. And I will catch you on the next video. Later.